we were pretty, discouraged that we had been to 2 banks and they said, we can't help you. And so we went to the ETRDC and we sat down with a gentleman named Luke Kimbrough. And I just told him, I said, hey, can 2 guys that have a business plan, some experience, and some potential customers, but we don't have a lot of money. I said, can we get in business? I'll never forget the words that came out of his mouth. He said, it happens all the time. And so I knew right then we would be in business.
That's a much different response than the bankers, right?
There's a way to get it done. Now, we received, I believe it's called a 504 SBA loan, which you're tied with a bank. So we did find a local bank, which is Vera Bank here in Henderson, that worked well with us. And the local bank, they seem to look at more than just numbers. They felt our passion and ambition, and we felt like that it was more than just numbers. They believed in us, and then we felt like they wanted to invest in the community. The other step was HEDCO,
which is the Henderson Economic Development Corporation.
That's right.
Okay.
And honestly, I cannot see a path for us to get in business without HEDCO. And they said, well, we'll make a deal with you. You create jobs and we'll fund the business. And so, when we had negotiated back and forth, we made them aware that we wanted to pay very good wages and that we intended to provide, outstanding benefits for our employees. And because of that commitment, and we thought that, in a 3-year span, we would create 16 jobs. And so we had a contract with them. Our commitment was to create 16 jobs, and they committed $5,000 per employee. And so they had a piece of land that we're on now, and they gave us 10 acres.
Wow.
They gave us 10 acres, which they valued at $33,000. And so $5,000 per job times 16 jobs was $80,000. They gave us the land, so you deduct $33,000 from the $80,000, and then they wrote us a check for $47,000. And without that, I just don't know that we would be in business, because we were able to take the land, which we now owned,
right,
and put that up for collateral at the bank to expand our business.
Right.
line.
It was the leverage you needed in order to make it all happen.
Now, we called other areas and said, we want to start a business. What can you do for us? And they couldn't even come close. And I actually called Tyler, and the guy that I spoke to said, I told him we lived in Henderson, and he said, look, I'm going to tell you right up front, we cannot compete against HEDCO.
That's one thing I think people don't realize. When you're coming in from the state, economic development in Texas is really done at a local level. And each community gets to decide how much they want to invest in different types of things. And so there can be that sort of, even just a few miles apart, huge swings in opportunity for investment from the economic development corporations, because they get to decide, do we want to invest in this or not? And it's not done at a state level. It's not coming down, from a top. It's really the local guys that are saying, this is what we want to do. We're really into this particular type of business. And this is a great example of that, where one community is really going after a certain style of business and a people they believe in and invest in them.
Right. Well, here's what should make the taxpayer in Henderson happy. When we didn't fulfill our commitment, we only created 15 jobs.
Oh, no.
We had to pay $5,000 back.
They made you pay it back.
They made us pay it back. And I appreciated that, because, I pay a tax
taxes
into
too,
HEDCO.
right?
And they're not just throwing money away. They're getting commitments. And if you fulfill your commitment, HEDCO's done their part. If you don't, well, then you pay it back.
There is accountability to it. It's not just a lot of folks think you're just writing checks and giving it away, but there is some accountability and planning behind all of that.
Right.
And now, a special thanks to our sponsors for this episode. Located in the Upper East Texas region of Texas, in the heart of the Piney Woods, the Henderson Economic Development Corporation has been busy bringing new life to businesses and industry in a community with a history as old as Texas itself. Henderson boasts convenient access to several means of transportation and is located within a few hours' drive of the largest cities in Texas, making it a key location for manufacturing operations of all kinds. And with a workforce that values hard work, honesty, loyalty, and commitment, Henderson can provide business owners access to the talent needed to drive the growth of their business. Connect with them today at www.texasedv.com. connection.com/sponsor.
One of the things that was just almost hard to believe is that we had a customer, which is Veritas Gas Processing in Tyler. They placed an order with us before we poured a slab.
Is that right?
It's just incredible. They had that much confidence in us, and it was a significant order. And so we knew, and the owner, John Jasper, he placed an order with me, and he said, now the guy that's going to be the project manager, he's from Henderson. His name's Scott Baker. So he placed the order, and a few weeks later, Scott called, and he said, hey, I'm Scott Baker. This is my project. I'm from Henderson. Tell me where your shop is in Henderson. I said, well, I can tell you where it's going to be. He said, excuse me? And now all of a sudden, he's a project manager. His orders are placed with a vendor that doesn't have a shop. But, we went ahead and ordered the materials and did the drafting and the design work, and we pulled it off. But we didn't, on day one when we opened, we didn't sit there and twiddle our thumbs wondering, when's the phone going to ring with going to be our first customer? How long will it be until we get an order? We started off busy. We actually showed a profit that we started in March of 2008. We showed a profit that first year in business. And we showed a profit in every year we've been in business except 2020.
Wow.
And COVID, it
and that's
really,
saying something. 2008, 2009 was a rough period in the U.S. in general.
Yeah, but we showed a profit every year we've been in business except 2020. 2020 hit us hard, but it's coming back.
Right.
We're really seeing signs that it's coming back.
Take me through that. I mean, you decide on Henderson. You decide to build the building. You've got the money together. You've got the financing. What about, you got to put people in it, workers, and I mean, were you afraid at all that am I going to have people that I can, how did you get your workforce starting from zero?
I had been in business for 26 years, so some people knew what I was doing, and they some of them were working for the companies I had worked for. Some had moved on to some other areas, but they heard that we were starting a business, and they came to us and said, hey, we'd like to be a part of this. But Northeast Texas is absolutely loaded with skilled workers. You don't realize that, but you're in Henderson, but you're pulling from all around. There's Tatum, Jacksonville, Mount Enterprise, Laneville, Price. You're pulling from and what's funny is these people aren't going to get in a traffic jam on the way to work.
Right.
I talked to a business owner in Houston. I said, well, if starting time is at 8, do you actually demand that people get there at 8? And they said, no, there's a window because we know traffic. And I was talking to a guy one time, a customer. He lived in Deer Park and worked in Deer Park. And I said, I only live 3 miles from my workplace. He said, well, I only live 3 miles from my workplace. I said, yeah. I said, the difference is I may not pass a car on the way to work.
Well, I've heard that before. One of our earlier podcasts is an HVAC manufacturer from California, and that was his comment. He's like, kept coming here, and just everywhere I drive, there's these little manufacturing places.
Yeah.
He's like, I had no idea. And in fact, it took coming out here for him to create innovation because the talent was here. They just needed, the company was needed, and where he was at, he was in a dogfight for competition. He could never compete with other people looking for that same engineering talent and manufacturing talent. He moved out into this area. He's in Northeast Texas as well. And he's like, I had no idea. And then I got here. And to your point, he's like, they may be 60 miles away.
Right.
But they're coming in because of the benefits we pay and the job that, a really good company to work for. They like the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, but it's literally 60 minutes. It's not like you're an hour and a half or 2 hours because traffic. He's like, they're driving in because it gives them both quality of life and an opportunity to work.
And, one of the things that I found is that the employees in Northeast Texas are loyal to the company they work for. People would say, what kind of turnover do you have? And there have been years when I have said, none. And it's amazing. We give out certificates and gifts when they reach certain anniversaries. It just absolutely blows my mind every time I look at these certificates, and we've got people that have been with us 10 years, 8 years, 5 years. It's just, they're loyal to the company. And even, when you go through kind of ups and downs, they stick with you through that. And you said the word atmosphere. We try to create and maintain just a fantastic atmosphere in our workplace. Nobody will come to William Grant one day and be cussed out. It won't happen. That's not who we are.
Right.
Now, if they've, and I tell our managers, you can say, I'm fired, just like that, or you're fired, I'm sorry, in a calm voice. We're going to conduct our business in a professional manner at all times, and they appreciate that. But we provide good pay and good benefits.
So, as a business owner, what are some things that you face? Challenges, new business owners that may be coming into Texas, what are some of the challenges that you would help them with or give them advice around? You didn't know necessarily how to, you started a business, you've been through the process, but owning a business is just a little different.
Yeah.
Are there some things that you might give our audience tips on of, this is not like doing business in other places? Is there some tips around that? Or
well, one of the things you're going to find in Texas is that there's not a lot of unnecessary regulations, and so if you'll just do things right, don't pollute the atmosphere. And take care of the environment. Make sure your safety. Make sure your people are there's an environment of safety. They're provided with all of the training and the tools they need to work safely. If you will do things right, Texas will leave you alone and let you conduct business. One of the things that I would say, and a mistake my partner and I made, because 3 years into the business. I bought his portion out, and I'm the sole owner now. But we were 50-50 partners. When you go in business with friends, you think, well, our friendship is so strong, nothing could hurt that friendship. And 50-50 was tough because you could just no one had the lead.
Right.
And so we just kind of struggled with that, and then the answer to that was for one to buy the other one out. 51-49. Is a good place. Make sure that there's
got to be somebody in charge.
There has to be somebody in charge, and so that was a mistake we made. But one of the things that I did not get in a tremendous amount of debt. We started with one manufacturing facility, and we let the business grow the business. We didn't, we stayed out of, we didn't take on additional debt for a long, long time. We would take a job that our facility could not handle, and then use the proceeds from that new job to expand with cash. And so now, we started with one fabrication facility. We've got a couple lean-tos added on to it. We've got 2 more fabrication base, so now we have 3, and then we have 2 paint facilities, which are we didn't have initially, and an office complex. And most of that we grew with cash and limited debt, which has helped us. I don't want to be vulnerable, and so just we've grown. We've let the business grow the company, not expanded, hoping that the business would come.
Well, you said it. One of the things I like what you said, and I've heard this in other interviews, is it's okay to make a profit in Texas, right? Like if you do it right and you take care of your business. We're a state that we kind of want you to be successful. And at the local level, we sort of take pride in the success stories of our local businesses and actually having them be successful. So I think that's an important.
And one of the things, it's hard being a business owner. You're never off. When I'm on vacation, I'm thinking about that business to some degree. I'm taking calls. I'm doing some work. The buck always stops with you. And if it got to the point, where taxes were 60% or higher, you'd have to really think being in business. And so I would like to think the government and politicians would keep that in mind. We have to have an incentive to want to continue to be a business owner. And, when so much of your money is paid in taxes, that's not much of an incentive.
Right. Wow. Gary, it's been a great conversation, man. It's really, to me, extraordinary that you don't have an education, or you didn't take the normal path. I won't say you didn't have an education, because you got educated. It just wasn't what some people think is the normal path. And the fact that you went from, flipping pancakes to now a thriving business owner is truly, that is the American dream.
It is, and that